What's up guys, this is Adrian Chavez with PersonalTrainingPrep.com, and I made this video to give you some tips while studying for the ACSM CPT exam. So I got 5 tips and then I'll give you some general overview of what I'm going to discuss. So first tip I'm going to give you is know health risk classification. Know risk factors, know how to classify individuals. You're going to see case studies that say Barbara is blank years old, has a dad who died of heart disease at 59 years old, and she has a BMI of 31 and has a blood pressure of 120/80 and a cholesterol of 205. You're going to need to read that, be able to read that paragraph and figure out how many risk factors she has and know the appropriate action to take, whether or not she needs to have a medically supervised exercise test, whether or not she needs medical clearance before starting an exercise program, etc. So make sure you know these. You will see several questions where you need to know this health risk classification in order to get the question correct. Next thing is know cardiac cycle and blood flow. I was so surprised how many questions I saw on the exam that included cardiac cycle and blood flow. So what I mean by blood flow is the heart's blood flow. So the chambers of the heart, where does blood enter, where does blood exit, pulmonary blood flow and systemic blood flow. You need to know all of the chambers of the heart. You need to know the flow of blood through the heart. You need to know what arteries and veins and arterioles and venules are. And you just really need to know that section well. I saw more questions than I expected. I saw 5, 6, maybe even 7 questions on the exam that covered those questions specifically. And I wasn't expecting that at all. I knew it, but I wasn't expecting it. So next thing, know biomechanics terms. When you see exercises described, a lot of times what you're going to have to do is say, during lat pull down, what movements are happening? What motion is happening at the shoulder joints? You're going to need to know if it's abduction or adduction or flexion or extension or circumduction or rotation, etc. So you need to know those things. Know the exercises. You just need to know basics about exercise technique. So we'll go into number 5. You don't need to know everything about exercise technique. ACSM isn't very particular about knowing every little detail about exercise technique, but they want to make sure that you know the movements that are happening and the muscle groups that are being worked. And not even muscle groups that are being worked, like you need to know every little detail of the muscle that's being worked. Primary movers, that's it. You just need to know primary movers. You need to know the motions. That's it. I was surprised on that. I was surprised that there was so little on exercise technique. So if you are taking this exam, know that you don't need to know that much about it to pass the exam, but when you do go into personal training, you need to know what you're doing. So make sure you get some extra training on that. Make sure you're really watching videos and really getting your exercise technique up to par where you need to be to safely and effectively train clients. The last one is know ACSM guidelines for exercise prescription. ACSM has their own specific guidelines. If you're training for the exam, you're going to know that. You're going to know that they have their specific guidelines because you're going to see them over and over and over again. ACSM actually worked with the Department of Health and Human Services to create the physical activity guidelines for America. So they're very proud of their guidelines. So make sure you know their guidelines, mainly for aerobic exercise training and resistance exercise training. You're not going to see flexibility at all, really. I didn't see anything on flexibility except for the number of days a week that someone should do flexibility training. There's another neuromotor. There's another category in the guidelines for exercise testing and prescription book. If you're studying for the exam, you probably bought this already. You're not going to need to know much out of this. This goes into way too much detail than you need to know. There's a couple of chapters in there for the aerobic, for the resistance, and for the health risk classification that are useful, but overall this book is mostly information that you're not going to even see on the exam. So make sure you know their guidelines though, for resistance training and for aerobic exercise training. Other things, make sure you know principles of exercise training. So make sure that you know what overload, what progression is. Make sure you know the mechanisms of delayed onset muscle soreness. Make sure you know the physiology of exercise training. Make sure you really know the health benefits of exercise training. Make sure you know how exercise training affects cholesterol and blood pressure and diabetes risk. Let me think. Can't really think of much else that was really emphasized on the exam. The main thing that I was surprised not to see a lot of was the exercise technique. But really, and what I was surprised to see a lot of was the hard stuff. I mean, you just need to know hard stuff really well. And one of the things, another thing, I just remembered now. So another thing that I was surprised not to see a lot of is you're not going to have any questions on what muscle is this, what bone is this. I didn't see anything. Didn't see one question. Know your anatomy, know it well, because it's important. But I didn't see any questions of what muscle is this, what muscle is this, which I was surprised, or what bone is this. So make sure you know those things. As far as the other the business related stuff, just study what's in the book. If you can get access to other training resources, we have some good resources at personaltrainingprep.com. Our flagship product, the Master the ACSM CPT exam, will give you everything you need to know for all of the business and psychology and nutrition. Not going to go into too much detail about that, but nutrition is very basic. The business, it's all very basic stuff. They just want you to make sure you have a very basic understanding of those things. But when it comes to exercise training, it's pretty in-depth. The science is in-depth, technique not so much. All right, so I hope this video was helpful. If you liked it, I definitely encourage you to share it with someone else who may benefit from it. And then go check out our website. We have more resources to help you if you're studying for the exam. I actually linked to a bunch of resources that I found helpful, and then I provided some resources myself. And if you want to, and you're about to get started for the exam, or you're having trouble studying for the exam right now, like I said, I've created a course where I put everything that was in the exam in the course. I put all of my previous knowledge, put everything that I learned training. I have a PhD in exercise science, so I put everything that I know in teaching information and put it into this course for you to get you prepared for the exam. If you're interested and you think this will be helpful, go check out our sales page on the website. If not, definitely go to the website. I have a lot of resources to help you if you're studying for the exam, regardless of whether or not you buy the course. All right, thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.